daughter. I love her. And my question is, the day that I will go away, that I die, what happened with this love for our relatives, our family? We welcome, when I reincarnate, will I be with her again? Or the people that we loved, our relatives, just stay there and we arrive with...
You will not be with her again. You will never leave her.
But
and there's a difference.
Could I know that it's her? I mean, my husband, how do I know that I met him and he was my husband in another life? Or what happened with these relationships and the love? Because I'm afraid of oblivion, that the day I die, I just forget about the people who matter to me.
Well, we understand why it might be hard for you to understand what that will feel like. One of the most wonderful things happened to Esther. And it's going to sound odd to you, but the most wonderful thing that ever happened to Esther was when the man that she loved more than life itself made his transition into non-physical, because it caused her to continue to look for him until she found him. For a while, she was like you, worried, like what you are worried about, that she could not find him, that in what you call his death experience, that there would be a separation between Esther and Jerry. And for a while, she couldn't find him because she was looking in places where he used to be and finding him not there. And in her sadness, she came out of the receptive mode, and then she could not hear him. And finally, she heard us say, Esther, you must not look for him where he isn't, and start looking for him where he is. And when she finally heard that and allowed her pain to subside just long enough that she could feel him, then she began translating him. She began feeling the fullness of him. And then subsequently, she's come to know that he's around her all the time. He loves shopping with her for furniture in a way that he never liked before. He knows where everything that she wants is and knows her relationship to it. He's opening doors for her constantly, helping her to see things that she could not formerly see. Her trust in his point of view and in his awareness of her and in his realization of where she is has become so strong that it is not as if he never left. It is better than when he was here. You see what we were getting at?
Yes, and I understand that because my father died in November, and I feel him more with me now than when he was alive. But my question actually is, when I die, and she died too, in the next reincarnation, will I be aware that she was important in my life because she will be in another body and me in another body?
Unquestioningly, but here is the thing that we really want you to hear. In the same way that we don't want our mother to worry too much about what interests her teenagers, we don't want you to worry too much about what's coming next and next and next and next, because you can't contemplate all of that from where you stand. We want you to just understand that conceptually what happens is that you continue to be an eternal being. And while you think that you want to remember all of these poignant, wonderful things that you experienced together, it is our promise to you that the new that you will be experiencing will overshadow anything that you ever lived, because the evolution of that which you all are continues to be. In other words, when you make your reemergence and your daughter makes her reemergence, you will not forget one another. In fact, you will blend together in a more powerful way than you've ever blended before.
In physical bodies?
The physical body part is the part that's hanging you up. If you can find this unconditioned that we're talking about, this consciousness, this feeling of love, in time you will not yearn for. Esther has that experience still every now and again, because the way that Esther translates your question, she says to us and to Jerry, mostly to Jerry, you know, our relationship is much more subtle than it used to be. And what she means by that is, I got to tune myself. I got to tune myself to your frequency, or I'm not going to hear you, which requires work. She's got to tune herself to that frequency, because he's not going to join her here. She could be in a bad mood, or he could be in a bad mood when they were both in their physical bodies, and they're still banging around in the same house together. In other words, easy to see each other when you're still both in physical form. But now if Esther is going to experience him, she's got to tune to the frequency, to the uncondition of him, to the pureness of him, to the lack of resistance of him in order to receive him. And when she does, the experience is sublime. So imagine what that's like for him now. Imagine what it's like for him to have left behind all resistance and to have reemerged into non-physical and to be one with those like Jesus, to be one with those like Buddha, to be one with those like Gandhi, to be one with those like Martin Luther King. In other words, no resistance, to be that consciousness, not a soup that doesn't remember who one was, but not a need to remember who one was, because there is so much awareness of who one now is. In other words, if you're worried about something, you know they're not. The very worry that you feel is your indication that you are looking at this differently than they are, you see. Your life experience can teach you what they know, little by little by little by little. The most wonderful thing that Esther is experiencing relative to Jerry, because he was such a teacher in his physical body, and he was so consistent, and by the time she came to be with him, so positive and so uplifting and so looking for positive aspects, so nice to be with. And he taught her many philosophies of life, philosophies of business, things like start it the way you want it to end up, and don't make your business bigger than your business. In other words, there were so many things that she learned from him that he was consistent in his offering about. And now she has the advantage, the delicious experience of getting to now know what he now thinks about what he then thought. Now she gets to feel the source energy point of view about the things that she had learned from him. Now she gets to fine-tune her physical business, her physical reality in ways that she couldn't do when they were both physically focused, because she wasn't reaching and connecting for and receiving the insight that she now has. Talk about infinite intelligence. You all have access to infinite intelligence, infinite knowledge, infinite love about everything that matters to you. You just got to get in the receptive mode in order to do that, in order to know it. And you're not in the receptive mode when you're worrying about what's happening after death, or when you're worrying about separation.
Because that's what I feel afraid of. I'm not afraid of dying, because I'm conscious that we keep on being. But my fear is about oblivion for who we love.
Your fear is about what?
To forget about all the people that matter to me, the animals.
But here's the thing. Here we are visiting with you now. Here we are. Now, we accept that it's hard for you to accept all that we are. We just want you to feel the interest that we have in you. And we want you to stop arguing for your physical limitations that will not apply when you are non-physical. Okay. In other words, part of it is asking you to trust, and part of it is that faith word that none of you like. But we want you to practice alignment until you feel confident about it. In other words, it was easier for Esther than for most, because she had already had the experience of Abraham, so she knew what alignment felt like. But it was not easier than for most, because she'd spent 30 years with someone in a very physical setting that she still wanted more of, you see. But her desire to feel good outweighed everything else. And so she just kept reaching for something that felt better, and reaching for something that felt better, and reaching for something that felt better, until she found that alignment. And what that gives Esther, and then what she therefore can give as an example to all of you, is that there is no death. It's a fiction, flawed premise that you never cease to be. But you're right, and what your fear is about is, will consciousness change? And the answer to that is yes, because Esther has to accept that Jerry is pure positive energy. He will not now complain with her about anything, which is somewhat annoying at times. He won't be there for her like he once was. She always knew he had her back. Now he really does. But if she's not in alignment, she doesn't feel it, you see. And so there is nothing for you to worry about. And while we know there is much that you cannot understand completely from this point of view, there is more that you can understand than you are allowing yourself to understand. It's good for you to not say the words, what I'm worried about or what I'm afraid of. It's better for you to say, I'm figuring this out. I'm feeling my way. It's better for you to acknowledge those times that you can feel that you are tuned in to someone who's made their transition. It's a really wonderful gift that Jerry has given to Esther, because he gave her even more than we gave her, the understanding of the eternalness of things, you see. She can feel him in the moment. The other day, Esther was having a conversation, an unpleasant conversation actually, with someone. And there are some books that Jerry placed on the shelves in the living room. And they are the Korean and Chinese and Japanese translations for a series of books that Esther and Abraham wrote called the Sarah series. And the reason that Jerry put them there is because their house is Asian in design, and the art on these books is really, really beautiful. So he placed them on some bookshelves facing out. And Esther likes that he put them there, and she likes that they still stand there. And she likes how steady they are standing there. And every time she walks by them, she remembers the day that he put them there. And she remembers the conversation they had about how well they fit there. So every now and again, when Esther is really reaching for something, Jerry just knocks one of those books over. Because it is a physical intervention, so to speak, that she yearns for and trusts. But we want her to not trust that more than the emotion that she feels when he's flowing with her. Do you see what we're getting at? Mm-hmm. In other words, we know that there is coming a day when he won't open the gate for her. She came home the other night. She has a gate clicker. The gate clicker opens the gate. And she came home, and when she drove up to the gate, it just opened. And she thought, there's somebody off in the bushes with a clicker. And she said to her friend who was with her, when we come to the second gate, if that one opens, that will really be freaky. And when they came to the second gate, the gate opened and closed and opened and closed and opened and closed and opened and closed. Now, how does this come about? There are all kinds of ways of defining it or describing it. The clicker's gone crazy. Something's gone crazy. But the fact of it is, there is non-physical awareness and projection of thought that does affect you all day, every day. Your earth spins in perfect proximity to the other planets every day. Don't you think that somebody has their eye on you? Can't you accept that you are not here alone, that you are an extension of consciousness, and that is consciousness that is involved with you? You see? Consciousness that is powerful, and consciousness that is good, and consciousness that is aligned, and consciousness that is interested, and consciousness that is love, and consciousness that is aware, consciousness that is aware of you. The question is, are you aware of consciousness? Are you aware of Source? Are you aware of Jerry? Are you aware of Abraham? Are you aware? Where's your receptive mode? Are you doubting? Are you trying to make non-physical fit into the physical? When all day, every day, we are wanting you to see the physical through the eyes of non-physical. We're wanting you to feel this world through the eyes of Source, through the ears of Source. We're wanting you to accept the goodness of that which is you and the goodness of that which is everyone else, you see. In time, if you want it enough, if you want enough to feel good, you will find a way, no matter what the condition is, to find that alignment. And when you find that alignment, the evidence of the existence and the intertwining of that non-physical energy, no matter what label you want to give it, will be yours. And it is our promise to you, in the same way that you are not now yearning yourself to be the little girl who was once 2, or the little girl who had no teeth. You're not wanting to go back to the beginning of that which is you. In other words, you accept the evolution of that which is you. And when you make your transition to non-physical, the acceptance of the evolution of that which is you, and your awareness of the part you played in the unfolding of all of this, and the feeling of worthiness and appreciation that you feel for the part that you got to play, and the complete ability to have awareness of everyone else. Yes, of course, you have the ability to focus into any time-space reality that you choose. You could remember your youth or the time of your child. You could remember your childbirth. You could remember the day you got married. You have the ability to do all of that when you are non-physically focused. But do you know what non-physical wants to focus upon? Here, now. Non-physical wants to focus on the leading edge where we all are. Non-physical is enjoying this conversation unlike any conversation that we've ever had before, because never before have we been so clearly out on the leading edge of this discussion. You see what we're getting at? We don't want to go back to 1 + 1 = 2. You figured that out a long time ago. Now we want you to be tuned in, tapped in, turned on, trusting your awareness, trusting your guidance system, trusting the emotions within you, and focus fully and fantastically and eagerly in this life that is right here. Not going back to what was, but devouring what is.